First things first, when you're starting your covers, you're going to decide whether or not you want the tall and skinnier version of the cover that's just like the one up on the board with my flower and my fabric that I put together, or do you want one that's just a square? I'm going to start off with the square. After you decide that, your next decision is going to be whether or not you are going to cut an opening in it, just like the one I have at the Garfield where I was trying to make it look like a TV. So if you're going to do that, what you want to do first is kind of plan out where you're going to cut the square, or the rectangle, I mean. And then after you do that, you're just going to take an X-Acto knife and then cut that out, okay? So those are the few decisions that you want to make first, okay? So I'm gonna, I'll cut that out later. But then once you decide whether or not you're having a window cut out or if you're just ready to put your base on here, then you're ready to go next. So now after you decide, what I'm going to do is I need to first cover it. There's a bunch of options that you can do. You can collage a bunch of things onto it, different types of like paper and stuff. You can take one whole paper. Here's a fancy one that I have. You can do like this side, or you can turn it around and do this side instead because maybe you don't want the gold in it. I have a whole basket of fabrics. I don't have a lot, but I have some. So like here's something with fabric. I also have some fun paper. Like here's something that looks like texture of like an animal. And then I have just some regular colored construction paper. So I have those options, okay? So you want to think about, and that's going to be like your main cover, because you want to have like one base coat first of some type of material that you're going to cover this with. And then from there you're going to build up, okay? So say I'm going to use, my theme is going to be animals. So I'm going to do this here, all right? So what I will end up doing is I'm going to turn this over. Okay. And I'm just going to cut a little bit bigger than the actual cardboard. And it doesn't have to be like perfectly cut. You just want it to be big enough so that it's going to overlap to the back side. Okay, so my paper I'm covering with is a little bit bigger than the actual cardboard. The next thing you're going to do is take the corners and you're going to trim. Okay, so now you're all ready to cover it. All right, so then what we'll do is we'll fold these over. Alright, and then we'll end up gluing this down. You can use Elmer's glue or you can use a glue stick, whatever works, but it depends on what you have. Like if you're using fabric, you're going to want to use a glue gun. If you're using just some thin paper like this one, you can use a glue stick. If you're using something a little heavier like the construction paper, you can just use a bottle of Elmer's glue. But all you need to do is just glue this part of it. You don't need to glue it down on the front, because sometimes the glue comes through the paper or the fabric and then you see like almost like it looks like a grease stain of some sort. Okay, so after you get this, what you want to do is put something heavy on top of it just so that that can stay down. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna let that dry. That's your first step.